I'm gonna show you my favorite exercise that helps realign your body from head to toe. This is really great for people who feel like they have twisted, uneven postures, whether it's their jaw, their shoulders, their hips, their feet. This is all really good for that. We need to understand the intention and goal of this exercise if we're going to be successful, or else we're just gonna do another mindless corrective exercise and not totally get the most out of it that we could. When I think about realigning the body, I think about creating more balance within it. Many people have a head that's turned to one direction, a rib cage that's turned to one direction, and a pelvis that's turned to one direction. Now, these could either be the left or the right. For example, I could have a head that's turned to the right, I could have a rib cage that's turned to the right, I could have a pelvis that's turned to the right. Or I could have a head that's turned to the left, a rib cage that's turned to the right, and a pelvis that's turned to the left. So I'm now all twisted. I'm not gonna go into full detail into how you can assess exactly which direction your body is turned in each of these segments, but I do have a deeper detailed video I'm going to link down below in the description. I like to think about this in terms of our movement cycle. The goal for me and my clients is to be able to effectively shift in and out of each side of the body. Typically, when we have these twisted postures, it represents someone who can't effectively shift into one side altogether through the head, the rib cage, and the pelvis. Or if they have something that's all twisted up like this, they can do certain things in some areas, but not others. The goal is to be able to get them at least on one side initially to be able to shift and assume stance on that side. And in order to do that, we have to get into certain joint positions. We need the pelvis, the rib cage, and the head to all very slightly turn to the side that we're loading our body weight onto. And then we need to be able to push out of that side and do it on the other. Let's say that we have a body that's more shifted over to the right side and we struggle to turn to the left side. Now, in order to get my pelvis to turn towards the left side, I need muscles on the back side of my pelvis, like my glutes and hamstrings, to help pull me over to that side. I need my rib cage and my sternum, my breastbone to be able to turn into that side as well. So I need to get my ribs to be pushed back on that side. I also need my head to turn to the left side. Now, this is the part of the video that gets a little bit complicated, so bear with me right here. When we go into left stance and we shift left, because the head is turning to the left, the jaw is going to rotate relatively to the right. It is a very, very subtle action, but it does matter because we do have movement at our cranial bones with every single step that we take. It's just very, very minor. But this is part of the synchronous movement that allows the body to fluidly move through the gait cycle and shift in and out of one side and then back into the other. So the keys to know are that while this upper head goes left, the jaw goes relatively to the right. So if I had someone that was stuck on their right side, for example, their jaw would likely be deviated over to the left. So that tells me that in order to realign everything, I need to be able to get the jaw to go back to the right. But I am going to show you a couple of key measurements that you can use as test and retest measures after doing this exercise, because these things should objectively improve and feel a little bit better if you're doing it on the right side, because you're doing it in a way that is realigning your body and therefore restoring motions within it. The first thing I want you to do is just close your eyes, sit or stand tall, and then very gently rotate your head from one side and then to the other, getting a feel for which side feels easier. And this is a very general test. It's not perfect, but it'll give you an idea of which side your head can turn towards more effectively. Just make sure that your shoulders and trunk aren't turning with you. It's just independent head movement, and you're also not side bending your head as you do it. Your chin stays totally even. The other thing I want you to take is your shoulder internal rotation. So lay on your back and get your elbow directly out from the level of your shoulder. And your fist is pointing straight up at the ceiling. Drop that arm, that forearm that is, very slowly until you feel like this shoulder is gonna pop forward and come off of the ground. At that point, that's the end of the test. So take that on both sides. Finally, take your active pelvis rotation. This is telling you which side you can more easily turn your pelvis towards. So all you need to do for this is lay on the ground with your arms out by your sides, feet and knees together in a bent knee position, both feet flat on the ground initially. You're gonna let your knees and feet fall together, still connected off to one side and then to the other side. You'll know when to stop the test Once, let's say my knees were going to the right side, once my left shoulder starts popping off of the ground, that's the end of the test. Compare that from side to side. Now let's say you had 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3 tests indicating that you are overall more turned towards the right side. You would do this exercise on your back with your left knee bent, and you would do this trying to push your jaw over to the right side. Addressing the whole body and relating it to how we move through the gait cycle is a key component of my beginner body restoration program. This program addresses common movement and postural limitations and can even be individualized if you so wish. So if you like this type of approach, check it out down below in the description. Here are the detailed exercise instructions. I encourage you more than anything else not to try too hard on this exercise. If you try too hard, you're going to kick on other muscles or other things you don't want engaged. So literally try this with a 3 out of 10 effort. This is the G-Dirt technique from Applied Integration Academy. What we're going to do is get in this staggered setup where we're laying on our back and we have our foot that we're going to be trying to pull our pelvis back on, sort of propped up on a door frame or a box or something like that. It just needs to be sturdy. So that way our heel is on the ground and we have the ball of our foot up against this thing. The other leg is straight and totally flat and relaxed on the ground. We have a towel roll underneath Trevor's head, so that way it's just thick enough so that way his chin is passively supported and pointing straight up at the ceiling. It shouldn't be so thick that it's pushing his head excessively back or so thin that his chin is dropping. We're going to make sure that the low back is in a flat position first. So what we're going to do is just gently exhale through our mouth. Feel our rib cage come down all the way, maybe about a 5 to 6 second soft but full exhale. That should help flatten out the back. Now we're gonna close our mouth, inhale through our nose. Now on the next exhale, what we're gonna do is drag down with the heel on the left. That's gonna help tilt our pelvis into a posterior tilt on that left side. That's gonna engage our hamstring mostly, maybe a little bit of glute too. And we're gonna take this left arm and we're gonna reach it down, and that's gonna drop the shoulder on the left side. Keep your head in the same place. Okay, now we're gonna take a breath here. Inhale through the nose. Now on the next exhale, we're gonna put 2 fingers on the side of our right chin if our left leg is the one that is bent. So it's the opposite of whatever leg is propped up. We're gonna very gently open our mouth and push our chin very slightly forward. And then we're going to try to push our jaw to the opposite side. So we're trying to push our jaw to the left, but our jaw is going to resist that. And we're going to feel muscles on this side. So if I'm pushing my jaw to the left and I'm resisting that, I should feel muscles on the left side of my jaw engage. And we're gonna hold this position. And then we're gonna do that for 5 seconds, just holding it without breathing. And then we're going to relax everything. And just feel everything, every muscle in your body relax. So one more time. Let's go through that again. The first exhale, just feel the low back get flat. And then inhale very gently through the nose. The next exhale, drag down with the heel. This left arm reaches lower, but the head stays in the same place, dropping the left shoulder. Now, we're going to take an inhale there. On the next exhale, put 2 fingers on the side of your right chin, very gently push it forward, and then try to, again, move your jaw to the left, but your chin is going to resist it. It's just really chill, maybe a 2 out of 10. You should feel those muscles on the left side of the jaw engage. You're not gonna breathe, you're gonna maintain that exhaled position while you're maintaining that hamstring on the left and the jaw going to the left as well. You're going to maintain an exhaled position. Remember, on the exhale, I cued you to push your jaw very slowly forward and then try to resist that push to the left. You need to make sure you don't do anything. You're just focused on feeling the hamstring, the reach on the left, and what's going on with your jaw, and you're not breathing. Once you hold that for 5 seconds, relax everything. Reset entirely, and then go again. You're gonna do this for sets of about 5 to 6 cycles of this. The most common mistake here is people using too much effort. This is a very gentle and relaxed activity. So your effort level here should be about a 3, 2 out of 10, not any more than that. If you do more, you're gonna kick on stuff we don't want. So an example of trying too hard would be reaching too much with this left hand and the head follows it. What should happen is if we reset right here, Trevor just gently reaching down drops his left shoulder, but his head stays in the same place. If you're having a hard time keeping your low back flat, even with that initial exhale, you can take something and you can put it underneath the leg of that side, just like that. That'll help passively tilt your pelvis back. And you can use whatever you want, as long as it's making sure that your low back is nice and flat and relaxed after you get that initial inhale and exhale, and it doesn't cause you to strain yourself to keep your back relaxed. After doing this for about 2 sets of 5 to 10 very slow and controlled breath cycles, again with just that 3 out of 10 effort, you should be able to retest these ranges of motion and notice an improvement. If you didn't, try doing it on the other side. Just experiment with it. Because what that might mean is that yes, you may be overall turned to one direction, but you need to realign everything on that side before then going back over to the other side. And that's the case in some people, but most will benefit by getting themselves to go back towards the side they're turned away from. I want to give a huge shout out to Applied Integration Academy for this exercise, specifically Mike Cantrell and James Anderson. I've had both the privilege and the pleasure of working alongside and learning from these guys over the last year or two, and it's just been an incredible experience. They're always trying to push the needle forward. They're always being innovative, and this exercise is from them. I will link their information down below in the description as well.